Peace, family. Yeah, King Sirs, they don't know nothing about that, man. This is my crew right here, man. This is Southwest right here. Yeah, I want to talk about I got my brother Richie from Black Ice TV on here with me. You there, Richie? You there, Rich?
Yeah, I'm in, bro.
All right, yeah, we got a difference. We got a difference of opinion when it comes to voting. And my brother, he's part of the diaspora too. He's over in London. And we had conversations, on the phone about different things. And my stance is you can be pro-black and you can still vote. And I think that in America, being pro-black, you have to vote. Right? You can't be in America and go to work and pay taxes and have certain things within local government affect your life and you don't have a say so in it. I think, in my opinion, I think that would be stupid. I think that the local vote is what affects your life more than anything, than presidential elections. Like you should be voting for your mayor. You should be voting for your local congressman. You should be voting for things that affects you in your state and the local politics. I mean, I don't understand how you could uh, pay taxes, like I said, go to work, send your children to these schools, and you don't have no say so. You don't have nobody that you financially support and put up in there to speak for you or to speak on your behalf. When we see gentrification in our communities, we don't have no home. We don't have a lot of home ownership in a lot of our communities across America. So we've been gentrified out. We don't understand the taxes that we pay and why that money is not being allocated back into our communities to fix our streets, to help our schools. Like we don't have no knowledge on none of this stuff because we've been fed a study diet, man. Oh, don't vote, man. Your vote don't count. But there's certain things, and I've even said it on this channel, and I'll espouse on it again. These governments are fake systems set up to make the people believe they have a voice, especially on a higher level. But on a local level, within your cities and towns that you live in, man, you got to take control of that. You got to take control of that. If you don't take control of that, we're gonna keep getting what we've been getting within our communities, man. You had some midterm elections, and you had the brother that was running for governor in Florida. That was very important, and I'll tell you why. Florida had a very racist law that was still on the books for a long time, where they wouldn't allow ex felons to vote. And yesterday they was able to get that law abolished. What was it, the Amendment 4? And it was keeping a lot of black people and Latino people from being able to vote in Florida. But most people wouldn't know that because we don't understand that we got to take part in some of the politics here in America because we live here. We ain't repatriating back to Africa, man. We right here in America. Where you at, Richie? What's your stance on that before I go forward? You there, Richie?
Sorry, brother. It was just acting slow. Yeah, I'm here, brother.
Yeah, me turning you up.
Say that again, brother. Turn me up.
Yeah, I'm turning you up. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, what you think about that? What I just laid out?
All right. Well, again, I'm cool. I understand where you're coming from with the local government side, yeah, of trying to vote on that wavelength and affect some sort of change. But and again, remember you're in States, I'm in England, so let's deal with your side first. The local government side is one thing. I understand your. Hold on, hold on. You don't. You know, you just pick the exact time when you're doing something. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm gonna say this, yeah, that you've got some black cities in America where they've got black mayors, black attorneys, yeah, state attorneys, and all sorts. And when there's things happening to black people, and those black people in office are doing the right thing, they're still getting voted out. Now, someone brought Freddie Gray, I believe, in Baltimore to my attention, where he got killed by the police. Now there was a black elected mayor, a black elected attorney. They did the right thing. They tried to work for black people's rights. And straight away, when it went up to the higher levels, they were kicked out. So I'm still on the thing where how effective do you really believe, based in this system, these people are going to be for you when it really comes to the crunch? Yeah, because whenever there's a real issue going on, it's always reversed once it goes to the higher levels. So, I'm with you. There's certain things you can definitely affect in your local community, and that applies over here in England as well. We can vote for our local MP and the same things for the area and have a spokesperson to speak on certain issues. But the realness of it is the real grinding issues of education, housing, jobs, they're not getting by voting. That's what we got to come to the realization. And I keep saying the same thing. If everybody is so concerned of how many people are going to vote, Why don't we count the amount of disgruntled, disillusioned people who aren't voting? Why don't we have a campaign for a vote of no confidence? Because I don't like any of them guys. Yeah, on both sides. They're all rubbish to me. So why isn't there a box that I can tick that says I don't want none of these candidates? Yeah, to me, that would be a more constructive process to add. So we can really start to see how many people are not happy with the system, regardless of what side it's on. So that's what I'm saying for opening.
All right, I got Nala. I got Nala says just came on. Now I want to bring you in before we move forward. I want to get your stance on it because I'm gonna read a couple things, a couple articles that came out yesterday pertaining to the Latino community and what they're doing gearing up for 2020. Uh, I'm also going to read off that Amendment 4 situation that had down in Florida. But before that, now I want to get Nala's opinion on this. Could you be pro-black? Could you be being pro-black, but should you still also vote?
I think that you can be pro-black and vote. I do. I think that there are many pro-black people that do vote. The conundrum is understanding the policies and how they affect your community. So with me, I don't really do too much in the major elections, like the presidential elections, but with the local elections, I want to have a say in who the sheriffs are, and who the judges are, and who the alder people are, stuff like that. So you can definitely exercise something that is as pro-black as possible in your vote, as far as that is concerned, especially because like some people, especially if you live in a mostly black neighborhood, you can have a black alder person that, that is your neighbor. You know what I'm saying? I was asked to run for alderman, in my community. But I decided against it because I think that there's other stuff that goes along with it, but I would have been an alderman in the neighborhood, so I believe you can be pro-black and do it. But I do think that the actual people that are voted in, a lot of times those positions are corrupting. I don't think that everybody goes into the political arena corrupt, but I think the actual seats and the actual the regimes in place are corrupt. So you can't help but end up doing things or making concessions that you don't want to. But I think that you can still be pro-black and vote.
Let me ask you now, what do you think in the last, because I think, my father's in the 70s and back then, like they were still fighting to vote, What do you think about this last, I would say 30 years or so, where we just fed a steady diet of not voting and staying away from certain things? How do you think it's affect our local governments and our ignorance now with certain policies?
Not voting. I didn't notice that we've been I know back, during that time, definitely like 70 years ago for sure. But I think they've been encouraging us to vote as of late. So is that what are you talking about back in the day when they were trying to discourage our voting?
Well, over the year, yeah. Well, there's been a recent phenomenon. There's been a recent surge in telling us to. But I know in the 90s, the late 80s, going into early 2000s, was a lot of saying, man, I ain't fucking voting. My shit don't count. Like that went on for a long time. I think when Obama came in, you had Puffy with Vote or Die and all that.
And then they had that rock the vote stuff.
Yeah, it was a resurgence. But before that, in the streets, people, man, I ain't fucking with that vote. How do you think that when you look at it today, it just seems like a lot of our people are ignorant when it comes to, because I can even admit, when I was looking up that Amendment 4 down in Florida, I didn't know nothing about that. And that's to my ignorance, because I was one of the ones caught up in the, man, I ain't voting, man, my shit don't count. I was one of the guys that's saying, look at these project buildings. These been the same fucked up buildings for the last 30 years. Don't nobody care. But I just think that we're looking at certain things, things that we don't think that's important when it comes to just getting your streets fixed. The potholes in your streets and all that kind of stuff. That's all kind of stuff that's controlled by your local vote. And I think, Yeah, what you say?
No, I was agreeing with you, right? I don't know. I just think that people probably in the 90s saw that the that their parents and stuff wasn't getting nothing out of the vote.
Right.
And so they probably was just, forget it.
Yeah, because I think that like what I want to do, I think that we got to like use our platforms to really re-educate. Our people got to be re-educated because when I'm out in the street and I'm just talking to different people, man, people ain't really enthusiastic when it comes to voting. Like a lot of people just don't give a fuck. Like they don't see the importance in voting. And I'm like, dude, like and I think it does us a disservice. It does us.
Yeah. I think, yeah, because I think that the thing is, I think it's more, I'm pro-choice when it comes to voting, right? But I think that if you're not going to vote, then you need to shut up about complaining about whatever's going on that you can't control within your community, or that you if you're not going to do anything to affect change, I think you should shut the fuck up.
What do
But
you, what, what,
pardon.
finish your point, but
Oh no, I said if you're not going to participate in it, I don't think that you should be complaining about who your alderman is. And complain, well, you can still complain, but you got to accept responsibility that you didn't try to put anybody in office either. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
I hear a lot of people critiquing. I didn't realize it was such a big problem until the last couple of days with people calling people coons for voting. You
yeah.
know, but
That,
what's
and,
that?
and that's the point, and that's why I think that we got to use our platforms. Our people got to be re-educated on the difference between voting local, state, and the presidential. Like we have to vote local. We have to take control of local, and we have to begin to really like force the church because, in my opinion, the church is where the majority of the consciousness of Black people is. And we got to force the church to move politically. Like I'm gonna read an article on what the Latino community is doing, and with the Black church. I'm not gonna say the whole Black church because I don't want to indict everybody because there's a lot of Black churches that are doing work,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't have like where people can see registered voters across the country. Where we're going up to, if we're going to meet with Trump, we're saying, well, we got this amount of voters, we got this amount of money, and if you want our vote, we got this. It's like we just horn ourselves to both parties, and we just get. If we do vote, we just vote and just to vote. And I had
Right.
an argument with my father yesterday because he was like, "Well, you should go vote." And I said, "Dad, vote for what? Vote for who? What am I voting for?" And he got upset with me. He said, "You should just vote because your grandfather, he went in on me." And I said, "Well,
Right.
Dad," and I said, "Well, Dad, my granddad didn't die just for me to vote. Your father, my grandfather, they had a plan on what it is that they were doing, and they was moving in agreement." And they wasn't just whoring themselves back then because they was under overt, uh, 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 they was being bashed. I said, with us, we don't even come together under general consciousness of what we want as a people. We just go give our votes, so it makes us powerless.
Right. And
Right.
see,
And see,
that's the
that's the
thing. I
thing. I
think that
think that
let me see.
let me see.
I think I
I
got
think
a
I got an
echo.
echo.
Oh yeah, let me mute. Go ahead. Let me mute.
I think that like I think we talked about this on my channel one day too, but our ancestors or our parents were um they were loyal to the Democratic Party because of the civil rights movement, right? And their grandparents were loyal to the Republican Party because of the Emancipation Proclamation. So for them, Republicans who gave them Proclamation, basically, freed slaves or whatever, um, they they stuck to that party without caring about any more policy. They just looked at it, hey, and a lot of them knew that the policies were not necessarily put in place because they cared about Black people and they wanted us, to get out of oppression, but they knew that those racists freed them for whatever reason that they did, which we know it was for economic reasons, but because they benefited from being freed from the plantations, they, took that sweet along with the bitter, and they stayed with the party that took care of the interests at the time. So come the civil rights era, the Democrats were, doing this, even though, I feel like, the Democrats were the Dixiecrats, but they gave them the civil rights platform. So then we stayed loyal to that simply because of civil rights. And we never dug deeper into it. Now, what a lot of people are seeing, I was looking at some data this morning. There is an overwhelming amount of senior citizens and people from the civil rights era who have switched to the Republican Party. And a lot of people are calling them coons for that, but I think that they're forgetting that these are people that vote for their interest and not necessarily, because we, even when we voted our interest and gotten what we wanted, we were voting for racist and white supremacists. So as long as they were getting what they wanted, like the best example is when the Republican Party freed the slaves. They didn't give a damn about freeing the slaves. Abraham Lincoln said if he could have did it any other way without freeing the slaves, he would have not freed the slaves. But he had to free the slaves to get something. The slaves wanted to be free. So that's what they got, right? So they, that party did that for them. So when they were able to vote, they said we're going to stick with the people that did something for us. Again, civil rights movement. We're going to stick with the party that did something for us. Now, nobody's doing shit for us. So for me, you have to do something in order to get my vote. So Black people, and I say this all the time, we show our hands politically. What we do is say, fuck you on this side, we're going over here. But the side that we're on doesn't have to show and prove. So the opposite side doesn't have to do anything for us or try to pander to us because they already know, because we've made it very public that we're going to be loyal to the one side. And the one side knows that we're loyal regardless of the fact of them doing anything for us. So what we should do, in my opinion, is what the Hispanic community does. They don't show their hand. So that when you don't show your hand, that means they have to do something for you. So after they do something for you, that's when they should get your vote. And that's just my opinion.
And
Uh,
yeah, and I agree. It was a brother in the chat that said he said, why do y'all believe in a system that's based on a republic? The black churches are funded by the government. The churches is one of the most corrupted places that helps fuels white supremacy. Now, if anybody that watches my page knows that I talk about this, I've taught this, I brought receipts out on it. But this is the thing what I want to tell people. You got the ability to create the reality that you want. Get Freddy Krueger out your mind. White supremacy doesn't have to own you. What we got to do is we have to learn how to develop our own selves and financially fund our own people and create the realities that we want for ourselves. As long as we're making those type of comments and saying what the white man is doing and what white supremacy is doing, then it's going to keep remaining the white man and white supremacy. At what point do we change it? White supremacy wasn't always in full effect. They created the reality that they wanted for themselves.
Exactly. And then when we go into that and we say, well, and I get what he's saying, but sometimes we're too emotional
Right.
about stuff.
Yeah, he's
And
right, but we got yeah.
right. But we got to deal with what we have to deal with. You're
well,
not you're gonna you
hold
gotta
on.
be you're in the system. We live
Hold on.
in.
Let me say something there. Yeah. See, this is like the Aboriginal conversation. How successful do you really believe we as black people are gonna be setting up our own system within the system that pre-exists? If you're already saying that, even going back to the freeing of the slaves and that, Washington and all these guys are saying, look, if we could have done it any other way, we would have done it, but this was the only way to do it. Yeah, if you know that's the mind state of the people that are controlling the overall system, and this is an inherent attitude that's going on. This is where I challenge anybody who talks about voting to tell me just how successful they really believe they're going to be within a system that breeds people like that at the top.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and finish what I was saying before you interrupted me, and then I'll address that. Um, we have always lived in the system of white supremacy. And contrary to popular belief, we know this system is oppressive. We've been here under its oppression. But people voting for their interest has gotten them some traction. Okay, so some people have gotten what they wanted. That's why I do focus on the local side myself. I don't know about anybody else, but I have seen my interests taken care of in my local elections. So to say that, okay, the whole, we're going to build a system within the system, no. But there is a thing called leverage of power that we could kind of utilize, but we've never utilized it, but other groups have. And I am not of the mindset that Black people haven't seen any success and can't see any successes in anything. One of the problems is that we are politically retarded. And I'm not taking a shot at my community on that, but a lot of us don't understand politics. We have to remove some of our emotional responses to life. We live in a racist system. Okay, who gives a fuck? This everybody, we all live here, we've been doing this for hundreds of years. So now what we have to do is figure out how to navigate through the system as best we can. Are you going to build a nation within this nation? No, you're not. This system was built to last. You're not going to break this system of white supremacy, but what you need to do is learn what it is.
Right.
First of all, identify what white supremacy is and learn how to use it. And learn how to you can use the system too. You have to learn to get around it, but we don't even know what the system of white supremacy is because we're emotional. And I'm not saying that there should not be any emotions tied to slavery and the shit that we have been through, but you cannot be emotional and rational at the same time. Again, if just think, just common sense. People who voted during the civil rights movement were sitting at the table making negotiations with racists and Klansmen. Lyndon B. Johnson was a fucking Klansman. You understand? But then this was also, this is where we're getting our civil rights introductions from. You understand? So you're going to have to sit at the table with people that you don't like and that you don't fuck with. That's war. Crips sit at the table with Bloods and figure it out. Vice Lords sit at the table with GDs and figure it out. You're going to have to sit at the table with racists and stop being emotional and just deal with the shit like grown folks.
I think that because we've been fully integrated, we're gonna have to learn what the Jews did, learn what the LGBT community did. We're gonna have to infiltrate the system with that mentality with that emotionalism of what happened to us. We're going to have to go in because that's what's going to keep you cultured. That's why I always say we've been decultured as a people. We're going to have to take that history we have and go into the system because we are already a part of it. We already go to work every day. We eat their foods. We wear their clothes. We watch the TV. We already, we're actually in one breath saying, how could you be part of a system where we are and don't be a part of it? We are already a part of it in every aspect of our life. So now, you might as well just get in it, get all the way into it. But you got to keep your pro-black mind and go in and begin to take it over from within, because it's not like you an invading country coming from somewhere else with your intact culture to take over something. You've been taken over and been fully integrated into a whole system, so you are already a part of it. And I think that's the part that we miss. So for me, when I'm using my common sense, I'm like, the problem that we run into, Richie and Nala, is when we go into the system and get educated, we forget we get decultured. We forget what we went into it for, and then we formally assimilate into white culture and then turn around and look down on our own people. So we never bring anything back. We never bring anything back when we can build over in the corner for our own people. That's the problem, and I think. That's where I know that some of my pro-black brothers raise an eyebrow because we are on an emotionalism roller coaster of every time these niggas go over there, they don't ever come back. They marry white, they move out there, they don't bring the resources back like white folks do. That's how they form militia groups and different things. They go in, get resources, bring it back. We don't do that shit. So I think that we go in and the white man, he start dangling his trinkets and we bite the bait every single time. So I think that more conversations like this need to be had because we got to fix, because like I said, we don't have a standing military, number one. Number two, we ain't repatriating back to Africa. We are fully indoctrinated and I'm losing the word. Integrated into this Western culture and the Western.
Right.
So the only thing that we can do is infiltrate it.
Well,
There is no other than pray and wait for God to come back.
George,
Right.
Yeah,
the
go
other
ahead.
thing you can do is abstain. That's the only other power that I started off this conversation with, where if
Right.
there's a vote of no confidence, so we can see how many of our people and people around the world are disgruntled with the current system that's in their face, that would have just as much power as you trying to vote for the best of two shit choices already.
Right.
This is what I'm trying to say. So, but nobody seems to talk about that. There's this big emphasis on why you should vote. But again, why don't we count the actual people that feel disenfranchised and don't want to vote, don't even feel
Okay.
like it affects them, don't feel like they're educated or, you know, dealt with when it comes to any of these policies in local government as well as higher up? Let's deal with those people, because I'm sure if we started to count the same way we count the votes for each party, we had a count for all the people that just don't give a fuck about politics. That in itself would be a massive statement.
But send us if you're able to send Cynthia the link. I sent
That's
it.
what I'm trying to do. Like,
I sent
see,
it
I
twice.
picked up on my phone this time.
Yeah. Let me
So, like, and it doesn't give me the option to send out a link.
try to do it. I'm gonna try to do it again. I did it like twice. I don't know why I won't.
But
Hold
so Cynthia, I don't know if this will work, but if you're picking up from your phone, I think maybe even if you're doing from your laptop, if you just go into the chat box because you're in there and you click the phone icon, it should bring you right up. I'm thinking because I didn't get a link. I just answered it rings through your phone and I just answered it. I actually thought it was my cousin George. I saw George. So, and I was like, shit, I'm on YouTube.
All right, so I got my brother Richie gave his stance, and my
Right.
brother in the chat he's agreeing with Richie. So what we're gonna do? Richie laid his out, and the other brother said, if you're not looking at the whole white nation as the enemy, then you'll forever be in the system. You don't let the white man teach you. I agree.
Well, I don't know who he's talking about because I think it's understood
Yeah, yeah,
that the system is our enemy.
right. I agree with that. What I think what me and Nala is trying to say is we
Don't cry about it.
we don't have a standing military. So, but I got Richie's point. Richie said all of our people that don't, that's actually a nation too. Now, hold on, Richie, come back in and reiterate a little bit on what you said. So let me turn you up. Let me turn you up against you went out, so people can
I
really.
gotta I'm sorry, George. I was like in the middle of something. So I'm gonna get off. If you guys are still gonna be on in a little bit, I'll come back. But I
Yeah,
gotta
come back because I'm gonna tell you now. We got to further this conversation. This needs to be had on all the channels.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I was planning on going live later on tonight to actually talk about what was going on too. So if you're on or I get on when you're not, I'll invite you guys on.
All right, all
All right,
right.
peace.
All right.
Peace.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Richie.
yeah. I mean, as you just said, that demographic of people that are disenfranchised and not into the voting and don't feel like they're affected. Because remember, see, the sister made an interesting point when she's talking about the people that do vote for their own personal
Hold
interest.
on 1 second, Richie. Cynthia, hold on. No, go ahead. I'm gonna call her real
Is
quick.
Cynthia coming in?
Hey, no, you go ahead. Keep building. Keep building.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about the power of interest and stuff like that, but that's where we start to get into the economic side of the game. And again, the people that are economically stable in today's society is a drop in the bucket compared to the majority of the mass. So when you start talking about economic benefits for certain groups, which was back in the day middle class, higher class, lower class, these kinds of things was in effect. And we know now that financially there is no middle class. That's been smashed out. So effectively, there's two classes. So when you start talking about people who are benefiting from their own interests, you're talking about a small demographic of people. And if you count the amount of people that are not economically sound, that are not housing, their housing situation is insecure, their financial situation is insecure, and you put those, yeah, into numbers, that's when I believe you'll start to see the amount of power that is had. And that's the leverage then you can have. The same way we talk about how much black people spend, if we remove that money from some of these companies and entities that we spend the money with, it will make a difference. You will have a say. If we stop spending and voting for a system that does not inherently work for us, and we make it a public campaign to say that these amount of people are not voting, I guarantee you it will carry more headlines than people saying I'm voting for Democrats or Republicans or Labour or whoever the hell. This is what we got to come to realize. Yeah, we can't get fooled and drawn into the routine of just voting, because that's what's happening. Yeah, it's like saying, yeah, you just need to have a job. Any job will do. Well, no, because if your rent is a certain amount and your bills are a certain amount, you can't just take any job. You need a job that suits the amount of money that you need to be paying out. So it's the same thing. You can't just vote just because it's for voting's sake. There has to be something decent in the mix. And so far, there is not anything decent in the mix. And in America, let me ask this question. How many black cities are there out there? Detroit, Baltimore, all black cities. Mad black population. Yeah. So that's local all the way up to the top of the chain in the city. What's going on there? Why is there no change there? Why is this local government thing not worked before, even though you've got densely populated all black areas? Yeah, and that's because they're squeezing it from the top end. As soon as those decisions leave that local government and go up the chain, they get shut down. They get closed down. People get removed from office. And this is what people seen all the way through time and space. So I'm waiting for someone to do something different. That's what I'm saying. Because the voting thing is shown not to work.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that to an extent, to a certain extent. We came up into these cities from the south, and we were still able to build things and get things done with vote, even with protests in the south. I think that all I'm saying is, and I know Richie, we have conversations on a more metaphysical basis. I think that we got to get past our fear and begin to create the realities that we want. Like, we got a new generation coming in. Like, you got your young son, I got my young son. Um, we're going to have to, I always say, we're going to have to come together as a people, and we're going to have to do it different the way we've been doing it. We can't just give our vote away. I believe that we should vote, but I believe that we should only vote if we got black people together, registered up under what we doing, up under our consciousness of what we doing. We're financially funding these people, and then we're going to the parties and saying, this is what we want. We're negotiating what we want. We're not operating from that position. We're operating from the position of we just giving you our vote away. And I think that everything that you laid out is why we're getting what we're getting. We're not coming together to the point where, when I want to read about the Latino community, where we saying, okay, by 2020, we got 5 million registered voters. We got X amount of millions of dollars in cash, and we want this, and we own these politicians, and we have our own that we financially fund. We ain't operating like that.
George. See, the thing is, again, I said this on another show we was on.
Right.
People need to go and watch the documentary Fahrenheit 9/11. You're seeing right at the beginning all of the black communities, organized community leaders across America coming forward in the Senate to say we did not vote for George Bush. Now, I get it. That's presidential elections. So I know it's a kind of a different animal. But again, you're seeing an organized front of black leaders, community leaders stepping up and saying, look, I have a petition with 5,000 votes. I have a petition with 2,000 votes. And they're telling you to sit the fuck down because nobody on the higher level is co-signing that shit.
I remember that. But see, the problem with that is, bro, we're not together when we're doing it. We're broke off into different groups with weaknesses. And on top of that, we're not doing it on a local level where we're controlling the politics on a local level where we're moving as one. But I understand. And see, this is the thing. Even for the people in the chat, George ain't always right in everything. This is just my stance. This is why I bring it to the living room and I let my people speak. So whatever the greater thought process of the people is where I go. So I'm getting the opinions of the people. Where should we go? But I think that for 2018 going forward, we got to have these conversations because I could be wrong. I could be right. You know, I don't deal with the ego where my way is no way, but we got Cynthia just coming in. I want to get Cynthia's opinion on this.
Thanks for letting me join, George. And how are you doing, Richie?
Big up, Synth.
This is a good discussion. I actually yesterday I did a video talking about the voting too. You know, I think the core problem with Black people in voting is that before they vote, they don't really do research on the situations that Black people are facing, and then look at what is on the ballot that would potentially resolve those issues. Because there was a report that came out earlier this year that said that there hasn't been any progress for the Black community in terms of unemployment, home ownership, and mass incarceration in the past 50 years. In addition, it said that the schools were still segregated, where the Black schools were being underfunded and the education was subpar. Yet Black people, even though there haven't been change, they've been pushing heavily voting, you know, even in the local elections. And a lot of the issues and things that we do face is on a local level. However, those things haven't changed either, like the home ownership, employment, you know, what Black people are being paid employment wise. Those are local voting issues. The school issues are local voting issues. Yet none of those things have changed in the last 50 years, according to numerous data. Yet Black people are still voting. In my live stream, I asked them, you know, what's on the ballot that you're voting for? And none of them could even mention one thing that was on the ballot for this voting season, this one that just passed yesterday. None of them could mention one thing that was on the ballot that would improve the situation and circumstances for Black people as a collective group. So it's interesting that we run out and we think it's so important to vote, which on some levels it would be, and we could be, you know, because I agree, you know, George, with what you and Nyla said about leveraging the vote. I do definitely agree with that. But I think that because of Black people's current situation, current mindset, we can't leverage the vote because they know that there's nothing on the ballot to even benefit them, and they still feel obligated to vote. It makes no sense to me. Simply out of tradition, out of emotion, out of fear. You know, if you're simply voting because you want the lesser of two evils, then you're acknowledging that you're going to get screwed either way. You're just trying to pick which person you prefer to screw you. So the way that we think about it is just ridiculous.
What I want to do from Richie and then Cynthia. Richie, what's your approach? And damn, stutter. What is your approach that you think that we should take going forward, you know, for Blacks in the Western Hemisphere?
Well, the thing of it is these politicians are not dumb.
Hold on, I'm gonna let Rich go, and then I'm gonna let you take it.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Let Rich lay it out, and then I'll let you do it.
Sure. No, I was just gonna say, look, for me, if you look at history, we've reached a point, and I'm talking in the Americas and over here in Europe, yeah, where we're about ready for a revolution. Yeah, it's been long enough now since the last time we kicked in some government building doors and, you know, strung up some people, or however you want to play it out. But that's where we're at right now, because the system is so entrenched in corruption and putting Black people in a position of disenfranchisement, you're out in the cold, we'll take your money, but you have no power. That is such a fixed position now by the powers that really control it. In order to affect any change, that's where we're going to have to really go to. So either we go into the revolutionary stance, or as I said, we really have to start a campaign for a vote of no confidence, where there is a clear campaign to say, I am not voting for any of the above in any way, shape, or form, because as Simph said, over the last 50 years, 100 years, however you want to map it out for your demographic in the diaspora, you have not done shit for Black people locally or globally. And until we step it like that, as I said, I have a real revolution, which I think really is the only way to go to really crack the system. But it has to, if you want to start from the civilized, what should we do because people aren't ready for that yet? Okay, well, let's start a campaign for a vote of no confidence in none of the above.
Okay. I like that. I mean, I like that stance too. I just sometimes I just get, I get worried because I look at us as integrated people, and the revolution. I damn near see half of our army as Black people fighting with white folks because we intermarry. We are like our people got crackatosis, man. Black people in America got crackatosis, man. Like we can't get enough of white people, man. Like we get vitriol towards our people by telling people to be pro-Black. Like our people are so fully integrated. Like sometimes you just sit there and just say, well, damn, I might as well just sit on the steps and just wait for Jesus, because trying to get my people to stand up and start the revolution, that's not going to happen because that's forced.
But George, that's why you need to turn up the heat so you can clean out the suckers.
Yeah.
Because while it's comfortable, no one don't want to move. See, this is the thing. While the position is how it is, if people can hide, you've got lazy people on one hand who, don't give a fuck about nothing, don't vote, don't care about anything. They're hiding as well as you've got these people who think they're educated, think they're integrated, and they're hiding within this shit system. So as I said, if we got that next choice, even on that smaller level, let alone the revolutionary stance, it will start to show you the true numbers of who is real and who wants to stand up for this thing. Yeah? Okay. This is what we need to do. This is how you get rid of germs. You turn up the heat, you apply the chemicals, you burn them out. Yeah? But this is what we need. We need a process that's going to clean out the suckers. It's going to clean out the coasters. It's going to clean out the usual suspects who just sit there, and as you said, whether they're voting because it's just a routine, or whether they're voting because they're coonified and their interests are something else. We need a process that's going to expose that and highlight it and separate and sieve down who's really about their people and who's prepared to go through certain things to affect change, because affecting change isn't easy. Okay. This is another we've been led to believe through this shit voting system, that you can just walk into a little booth, draw a curtain behind you, tick an X, and somehow your problems are going to get sorted. No, it don't work like that for us. Okay. It really doesn't. So we on the program now and clean out these suckers.
All right. So now, Cynthia, I laid out what strategies going forward from 2018 going forward do you think that we should be taking with everything that you laid out since you came on, when you broke down what we haven't gotten? What strategies do you think we need to take going forward? You gotta unmute yourself, Cynthia.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even know you were asking me. I thought you were asking Richie. The thing is, I agree with both you and Richie. I definitely do. I think that I agree mostly with you, George, that our people are so integrated mentally, spiritually, and otherwise, that the only thing I disagree with that it would be 50%. I believe it would be more like 70 to 80% of Black people would be fighting against those who want a revolution. And it is because they're so invested in the in whiteness and integrating with whiteness. And I think that they have that mentality regardless to whether they're in a relationship with white people or not. They've bought into this notion that they are all inclusive, that they are a part of this system, and that whether they vote for a specific agenda that supports Black people or whether they just go by whatever agenda is on the ballot, I think they believe that they're going to benefit anyway. The sad thing is that this is a global mentality. I had a subscriber in Canada comment on my voting video, and what he was saying goes on in Canada with Black people in terms of voting. It mirrors what's going on in America, where they simply vote for the lesser of two evils. You know, they always vote Democrat and with the liberals, and they do that because the liberals are more able to hide their racism, and they wrap it up in all inclusiveness, but they never really address the issues that are affecting Black people specifically. Now, what I think could be done is I think Black people should withdraw from voting on a local or presidential level, and I think they need to do that until someone gets a clue and put a specific Black agenda on the ballot. Because the thing of it is there's too many things that are facing Black people. We have a very sensitive and unique circumstance in this country. So simply putting things on a ballot that's going to deal with healthcare, unless it's healthcare specific to Black people, then we shouldn't even vote for that. Because regardless to what healthcare situations have been implemented, Black people still have subpar access to healthcare, if healthcare at all. So we need something specific to our community. But I also do agree that we need to prepare for a revolution, because even if a politician does put something specific for the Black agenda on the ballot, that goes against a system of white supremacy. So you're going to have to fight and engage in a revolution anyway, because anything that goes against the system, which is Black success or things that help propel Black people to another level, the dominant society already knows there can be no Black empowerment and white supremacy that coexist. It can't, because the only way white supremacy exists is by virtue of Black disenfranchisement and oppression. So being that they've already stated that they would prefer to die than be in a system of white supremacy, you have to, in order to get any real progress, you're going to have to be willing to go to a revolution, especially if it's progress in the form of you actually dealing with mass incarceration that in fact affects Black men mostly, and dealing with the employment disparities, which affects Black people and puts them on a lower economic level than the white community. Because I've done the research, and over the past 50 years, the wealth gap has vastly increased, actually. And so these things benefit white people's position in society. This is all that they have. People don't understand, they can buy into the notion of white supremacy, but the only thing that really reinforces white supremacy is social advantages that white people get. Okay. Other than that, there's nothing that would reinforce or validate their existence, nothing on a biological or natural level. So being that the only benefits that they're getting is from this system that disenfranchises Black people, they're not going to just give that up. They may give you the illusion that something is going to change, and they may want to sit here and push voting as the answer to your liberation, but no, it's not. Because if voting was really the answer to your liberation, they wouldn't even give you the option, and you will literally have to fight to the death to even vote. So I think they push this voting really to just see how much Black people are still invested in this system and how much they still believe in this system. Because if you're still willing to vote to change the system, then you're not at risk of a revolution. And I think that's the only thing that they're really interested in. Truth be told, the Black vote doesn't matter at all. They just want to see if you're going to do it because they need to see where your head is at. But that's what I feel about it.
Facts.
I want to read this article real quick, and I want to get both of y'all opinions on this as far as the Latinos gaining power in America and the LGBT, and what does this do for the so-called African American population or just the black people and just black people in general. It says that I don't know if y'all ever heard of Voto Latino. Voto Latino aiming to register 1 million new voters by 2020, saying that Latinos are in President Donald Trump's crosshairs. Voto Latino, the group committed to engaging and empowering Latinos in politics, is preparing to roll out a campaign to register 1 million voters by 2020. The rollout comes as Voto Latino adds 3 members to its boards, including former House Secretary Julian Castro, who was eyeing a presidential bid in 2020. The new initiatives called Somos Más, We Are More, will focus on 7 states: Texas, Nevada, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, Florida, and California, including on 27 college campuses spreading among them. The group will also have a digital effort concentrated in North Carolina, Ohio, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. The rollout will begin in the coming weeks. I gently remind people that once Latinos register, their chance of coming out to vote is 80%. Maria Kumar, Voto Latinos president and CEO, said Monday. The game is going to be played in 7 states. The effort is aiming to spend $7 million, with $4 million of that identified so far. Kumar points out that there will be 12 million new young voters by 2020's elections. 2/3 of them people of color, and that 60% of Latinos are under the age of 33. So it says for the next 3 years, Voto Latino is coming back to basics to enfranchise young American Latinos so they can fully participate in our democracy at the ballot box. Now, I read that for a reason, because you can see all the stuff that's going on with Trump and the Latinos, and you can see how as black people make up 13% of the population, they say we have more of us than Latinos, but when you put all the Latino communities together, they make up 17%. And our voter turnout at one point was always higher than theirs, but now we see them rising to power economically. We see them now getting into politics and many different things. How do you, Cynthia, how do you view this with the Latino surge? And how does it affect us if we don't participate?
I think the Latinos, for the most part in this country, are classified as white, because the thing of it is they're certainly not lumping the Black Latinos who immigrate here into the same group with the white ones. So it's definitely important to differentiate between the two. But I do also know that a lot of Afro Latinos, they are incentivized when they come over here to not align themselves with the American Black community, just like African immigrants are. And I know this for a fact because my niece's father is from the Cameroons, and he said that they won't, when you come over into America, they don't say explicitly that you should not align yourself, but he said they do show you a bunch of negative images of Black Americans, and they imply that you need to stay away from them. So they do reinforce these people to not align themselves with the Black community. What I think should be done on Black people's part in order to kind of neutralize the whole Latino population being used against Black people is to reinforce the notion that they're not going to be treated on the level of white. They're not going to be seen as white. So ultimately, unless they're aligning themselves wholeheartly with Black people, they're actually doing themselves a disservice. Because if there's no Black people around to be disenfranchised, the Latinos are simply going to replace Black people as the most oppressed group in this country. That's what a lot of them fail to understand. And so I don't think right now, I think we have about as good of a chance of convincing American Black people to act on their own interests as we would with even Black Latinos, because unfortunately this mentality is global with Black people, regardless of whether they're coming from Latin America, the Caribbean, or from the continent. Like, they have a stronghold on the mental and spiritual psyche of all of us, of the Black diaspora. And I think unless we work to change that, we're going to have an issue. But first and foremost, if we can't even deal with Black Americans and get Black Americans on code, how are we going to do it with other ones, whether they're Black Latinos or, you know, continental Africans or Afro Caribbeans? Like, how are we going to do that if we can't even address the ones who are Americans and who should understand white supremacy better than any foreign Black person, really?
Yeah, I just this is see, I look at them as they're allowing the numbers to come in heavy from these countries, Guatemala and all in Central America, in Peru and all in Venezuela and all these different places, because they trying to replace us. They want to replace us in the job areas, the factory jobs, the refinery jobs, and all these different things. And they're using this fake ass smoke screen with Trump saying, the immigration policies, and he want to kick them out. No, they don't. These companies and stuff, they will welcome these cheap labor Latinos coming into America. I think nothing happens by chance. Everything happens for a reason. When you see all this stuff going on in the news now with Trump and the stuff that's going on in Venezuela and all the people coming over, and as I sit and watch with everything my brother Richie laid out, because I don't disagree with him on that, but I'm discouraged because I don't see Black people having a revolutionary mind today. So if we're not going to vote and we're not going to participate, and we got to get the people with a revolutionary mind, but we dealing with an integrated people that's zombie-like mind state. They didn't even have, even when you look at history, Black nationalism was always frowned upon by the Black intellectuals. The talented 10th, they didn't fuck with Black nationalism. They was fully integrated. They frowned upon it. We got Black nationalists sitting in prison for the last 40 years. Don't nobody even talk about. Debbie Africa just came home. They just let the other brother home last week after 40 years from the Move 9. Most people don't even know who these people are. We got Black nationalists living, ostracized and living in Tanzania, living in different places that we don't even know who they are, man. We don't even celebrate these people because it's been frowned upon by the Black intellectuals. And the generations that came after them, we given a study diet of the shit that's been taught to us in school. We don't celebrate our superheroes. They're not looked at as superheroes. So I get discouraged because I'm like, well, what the fuck are we doing? And then when I look at Black YouTube, the pro-Black community, we ain't pushing Black nationalism the way we should. We banging on each other. So it gets confusing to me because I'm looking at all these other groups. I'm looking at, they just, in Colorado yesterday, they just put in the first openly gay governor, where Colorado was a fucking anti-everything state. But now they just put in an openly gay governor. So you got the LGBT people coming into power. You got the Latino people coming into power. I got my people saying, well, we shouldn't vote. We should start a revolution, but I don't see it. So it gets confusing. It's discouraging. Go ahead, Richie.
First of all, as far as the Latino culture goes, I'm with Simp that a lot of it, as far as the people that have integrated over into America, they're accepting and assimilating into the white side of the culture. So that's why there's less of a problem. But again, the one thing that makes a difference and gives us a set of people power when they come over to a land that isn't native to themselves, in the wider sense, is if they have a strong cultural base, and that's their homeland. So this goes back to the same conversation when we have about should Black people from around the world reconnect with the biggest, the richest, and the most wealthiest in culture continent on the planet, which is Africa. Because until we come together on a global basis and there's a strong cultural basis to Black people in general, you're not going to be able to fight for rights properly. We've already established the American and European diaspora culture is a mishmash of anything goes. This is why, again, you're having such discord when it comes to what should we do next. Should we vote? Should we revolutionize? Well, I'm kind of cool over here in my corner, so I'm all right. I know, you know, a couple white people who live next door to me and they're cool, so everything else is cool. This is why you're getting that confusion. So for me, when you're looking at these other groups, whatever the group, Chinese, Mexican, Latino, whatever, you got to say to yourself, when you go back to their homelands, their culture's intact, their language is intact. They're still naming people under the same guise. They're still eating the same foods. So when they come over to a place like America or to Europe or whatever, and there's enough of them, this is where they have leverage because they have a culture that is supported by themselves, for themselves. So that is where they now can say, right, not only are we prepared to do all the other normal jobs in society, whether it's cleaning your bathroom, mowing your lawn, being your handyman, being your lawyer, whatever, but we have a cultural base that's strong enough and deserves respect because we all stand on the same thing together. So this is why we now can start to demand more things. This is why that guy who you mentioned can run around and say, right, I want to get 1 million votes from my community to show you the nation that we have in order to leverage power on different levels within local and higher up government. And again, let's not get it twisted. America is not based on any sort of allowance for any other races. So we know already just through time and memorial, again, no change ain't happening past a certain level. But again, they are prepared to acclimatize to the white ways. And as far as the LBG thing and gay shit, that's white people all day long. That's inherent in their culture. So as far as them getting rights, that just speaks for itself. Yeah, this is why they've made it a point to liken that struggle to the same as the racist struggle, the same as the race card now. And again, you know, everybody was fooled by Obama, man in charge, and he gave more rights to the gays than he did to black people. So again, if that's not enough to make you turn away from voting, I don't know what the fuck's going on. And again, I'm going to tell people, please go and watch the beginning of Fahrenheit 9/11, because I think I saw an organized front of black people coming together to show how many of them still believed in the system in some way, but didn't believe in what was happening in front of their face. And you see them getting shot down, and they're organized. They're all black. They're all community leaders, and it didn't mean shit. So from that aspect, I'm like, something else has to happen. And we can't liken ourselves to these other cultural groups if we don't have a strong cultural base in our homeland. And, you know, whether or not there's people that are going to say, no, well, we're indigenous to the Americas and whatever, then tell me what that culture is. Let's highlight it then. Because without it, again, you're just a set of people bereft to the winds of change on whatever the white people want to put on you. This is the facts. And remember, the biggest black movement was the Marcus Garvey one, 7 million people, where he was encouraging you go back and at least open lines of trade with these people. Open lines of trade. That's all. Embrace the culture. That's going to give you more power. And there hasn't been a greater movement since. So again, I ask the people, please tell me a different plan. But voting ain't cutting it.
See, I agree with you, Richie. But I think we need to understand that the only thing they're doing with this immigration is creating a smoke screen, because these immigrants that they're bringing over are white. Okay, Spain, the whole Hispanic thing. This is a white culture. Spain is in Europe. That's what a lot of people, I think. And I'm not saying you in general. I'm saying, and I'm not saying you. I'm saying a lot of people in general do not understand that these Hispanics are white. They are foreign white people. So when I hear people talking about immigration, I just really believe it's a smokescreen. You have white people allowing other foreign white people to come into this country, and they're putting it under the guise of these outsiders, non-whites coming in and taking jobs from black people. No, these are foreign white people who are taking jobs from black people. And they're doing it because the system of white supremacy allows it to happen. So that's why they are able to keep their culture, because they're just foreign white people. That's really all that it is. They're not letting an influx of Black Hispanics come over here. They're letting the ones who are white and mixed white, and they do that for a number of different reasons, because due to the mixing that's creating the mixed Latinos, they do have better genetics than white people. So they do it for a number of different reasons to keep their population high, and also to put in a buffer class to make it appear that there's a non-white group coming in taking jobs from black people, when in reality you just have foreign white people coming in and getting those benefits that are supposed to be due to black people. Now, I've seen people in the comment section saying that not voting is not a revolution, but the thing of it is if you're not voting for something that directly benefits and helps your community to progress, then all you're doing is actually voting against your best interests. No black person should be voting unless there is a clearly defined agenda on the ballot that's going to specifically cater to black people's sensitive position in this country. So simply voting on a base level, that does nothing. Again, all that does is show that you still believe in the system. We should not be voting until there is a clear agenda that's going to deal with black people's sensitive and unique situation in this country. That's the only time we should be voting. Otherwise, I'm not understanding why people keep saying vote, 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 when what was on the ballot this time that you were voting for? Like, vote for what and for whom?
Facts. This is it.
But see this what we gotta do. This what we gotta understand. A war is fought. You gotta fight it. You gotta study war. You gotta study people like Hannibal and the concept of double envelopment. You gotta study Genghis Khan. You gotta study Alexander the Greek. You gotta study the Apache General Geronimo. You gotta study war. You see what I'm saying? See, we always talk about we're at war, but we don't actually study war strategy. When you fight in a war, until we get to a point, now I agree that we have got to get to a point where we are voting for things that have our best interests at heart. I agree with that. But what we have to do first, we've got to organize, even if it's on just a local level, organize and then create what's going to be put on the ballot. Because if you look at the Asians, you don't see a whole lot of Asians running for office. You know what I'm saying? You don't see a whole lot of Asians doing anything. You see what I'm saying? But you just find all of a sudden pop up with the street signs written in Chinese. But you don't see them on the ballot. So your organization is what is the most important. And then you take that organization and you use those numbers as leverage to get whatever it is you plan on getting done. And so that's what made Larry Hoover so much of a threat, because he was trying to teach us to go to the polls and vote in these local elections for propositions that have your best interests at heart. And so we got to start understanding that you fight, because at this particular point, we're not ready for a revolution. So since we're not ready for a revolution physically, we're not ready for a revolution mentally, because as the people on the panel have said, the masses are not going to rock with us at this particular point. So in the meantime, you start teaching them basics. The basics is organization and working together. So you teach them the basics, and then once you teach them the basics, and you get into the point where they're actually ready to fight, ready to whatever, you have positioned yourself through actually using and exercising your right to vote, and understanding how to put things on the ballot, how to put people on the ballot, how to put your own people on the ballot that may be better equipped to organize and put certain things together. So you understand how to do those things. So in the meantime, until you get to the point where you're actually ready to go to war and actually create the revolution, then you at least position yourself to do certain things as far as Again, look at the Asian community, look at the Jewish community. You know what I'm saying? There's places in New York that if you ride through their community, they'll pull you over. We have got to get to that point. Once we get to that point, then we are at then you take it to the next phase. But we have got to employ every strategy. All things can be used, you know what I'm saying, if we understand how to use them. And that's the problem. We have to gotta teach our people how to use it. It's not voting or not voting in and of itself. It's about understanding how to use that for the betterment of the people.
I got two questions.
Right, but Black people have been voting though. So your analysis suggests that Black people haven't been voting, and Black people have been voting. There haven't been anything on the ballot that was for Black people's best interest, and there isn't, because when you show that you're still going to vote, even in the absence of anything that benefits you, nobody's going to put anything on any ballot that would benefit you, because you're going to vote regardless. So number one, Black people have been voting. And number two, you said you have to vote for something that is within your best interest. Well, that's what I've just been asking, and nobody has been able to answer it. What piece of legislation has been on the ballot, either during this voting season or any other voting season, that was to the best interest of the Black community? What's been on the ballot? Like, what are Black people voting for now?
He was saying that we got to create it. That's what what he was saying was we had to create it. What's on the ballots now is shit. But it go back to what I was saying in the beginning. We gotta financially fund our own people going forward. We gotta start building more on a local level on what it is that we want now. Because all the things that, like you said, Cynthia, all the things that we voted for, it's gotten us nowhere. So we got to change the strategy. And I got two questions for the panel. My first question to the panel is, okay, social media today is like the new TV. This is the way we communicate. Nobody really watches TV anymore. Everybody's on social media damn near 24/7. So how should we be using social media to maybe deal with some of these issues that we're talking about now? Like, how should Black social media be being used as the tool to take us in the direction that we think that we should be going? Because I think the general consensus of this panel is we shouldn't vote, but if we decide to vote, it has to be under one consciousness of what we're doing, and we know where we're going, and we standing firm on it, or we fight. So how should YouTube be used as far as galvanizing the people? I'll start with Cynthia first. You there, Cynthia?
I am. I want to say this. Has anybody noticed how when they do these voting campaigns, they're not targeting them towards anybody else? They're only targeting them towards Black people. Because I've noticed that the only people they have interest in voting is Black people. Like, that's why you see them having Oprah go out to people's houses, and she's not going to white people's houses and telling them to vote. She's going to Black communities and telling them to vote. You have a bunch of Black celebrities sitting out here pushing this voting message on other Black people. So I think we really need to look at the fact that the only people they're interested in pressuring and shaming into voting is Black people. And I believe that is because, again, if Black people are showing that they're voting, then they're showing that they don't understand the system that they're in. Because ultimately, to solve a problem, you have to go back to how it got started. Regardless to what method you take to solve a problem, you have to look at how that problem got started. Now, Black people didn't vote their way into a system of white supremacy. So to think that you're going to vote your way out of it, to me, is really, it's an insane notion to me, to think that you're going to vote your way out of a system of white supremacy that you didn't vote to get into. But I think with social media, it is a very powerful tool, and it's a tool that Black people inadvertently control. They don't understand that they control it, but we do control it. Whatever we put out is the most popular. We drive social media. There's been numerous different reports that talks about how Black people actually run social media. So I think the first thing we should be doing is using it to control the narrative of our community. We don't understand how our community narrative and the narrative that is controlled by the dominant society dictates how people look at us globally. Unfortunately, on social media, we don't do anything but contribute to the negative narrative. So I think we need to use social media first and foremost to switch the narrative. Black men should not be being seen as the most violent. They shouldn't be seen as the biggest sexual predators. White people should be, because if you look at the data, that is who is really doing it. So first and foremost, to control the narrative, switch the narrative to what it really needs, to be. Because if they're able to censor Black people, because all Black people and the majority of Black people, nor the significant amount of Black people out here really trying to control the narrative. We should be flooding social media with reports of white crime that they're engaging in, so that can offset every time someone looks at Fox News. Because the internet, YouTube is more popular than Fox News. And I can tell you that because now the news stations are trying to put copyright claims on public news clips. So they don't even want YouTubers trying to be able to use their clips to contradict their narrative. This is how I know that we run it with social media. People will take stuff they see off YouTube more seriously than what they'll see on the mainstream street news, because it's just not accurate. Most of the time now, you have the mainstream media competing with social media. They'll try to now, if you guys noticed, when someone commits a crime, specifically a mass shooting, they'll try to identify that person before social media does, because they know someone on social media, they won't release the name, somebody on social media is going to. So I'm actually noticing how they're actually identifying these people. The news stations are identifying these people a lot sooner than they really were. And that's because they have to compete with social media, because there's a lot of social media detectives and they're really good with outing people. So I think that's one of the things we need to be doing first and foremost, is using it to switch the narrative, because ultimately that's how you gain allies. Now, I'm not saying friends, because we need to understand the difference between friends and allies. You use the media to the social media to switch the narrative, and you will gain yourself allies, because they use the mainstream media to isolate Black people and put them in this special predatory, genetically criminal minded group of people. And that's one of the ways where we don't have allies, because you see how Black people are. And if I was an outsider just looking in at the news, I wouldn't be an ally of Black people either. So I think that we really need to use it first and foremost to change and control the narrative of how we're presented to the world.
Richie, you up? How you think we should be using with the comments that you made since you've been on, Richie? How would you use if you were the guy that was in control of Black YouTube? How would you push the narrative?
Well, I mean, again, like D Red was saying, we got to study the art of war. And first and foremost, propaganda is the main tool of war. That's what's used first. As I always say, if there was a real issue, a war situation, the first people that get locked up are the free press at any time, because the government always wants to control the narrative of what's going out there information-wise. So for me, I mean, again, if I'm already talking about abstaining from the situation and, collating those figures for how many people are disenfranchised, that would be an obvious thing that the YouTubers could be doing, because we're always talking about the problem. We're always talking about the problems of the Black community. We've clearly outlined them from toe to the top of the head. We've gone through them. So again, in regards to understanding what needs to be on a ballot sheet, or what policies need to be affected in a local sense or in a global sense, we're fucking experts. So I don't really see there being a problem in that sense. So that's one of the things YouTube should definitely be doing, first and foremost, collating all those numbers of people that are not up for this voting thing and who need something different. But one of the things I will say again with the social media thing that we got to remember, is that it's got to a point of saturation now where people are living behind avatars. So again, it goes back to my original point of, we got a lot of suckers hiding behind these avatars who aren't real, who aren't affecting any change, who are there as disruptors of people coming together. So when you're talking about the Facebook thing, and again, the big elephant in the room, Facebook is controlled by the government. Yeah, in every country, the government is who is controlling your Facebook and your social media access and output. So again, we're not living with this stark reality now. We're fools to think that somehow we're going to somehow affect this major change again through the social media aspect, because that's not happening either. And I think we gotta remember that with this Facebook era, it dissipates your energy. So that natural revolutionary spirit that we're talking about having, I think through Facebook gets dissipated, gets mashed down, it gets taken away. It gets dispersed before it hits the streets where it should hit and where it should affect change on a lot of levels. Now people are in their house, they're chilling, they're pressing a like button, they're pressing a share button, and that's their activism for the next week. And that's a problem as well. So unless we get real and we look at it as, again, another form of laziness in affecting change, because that's what it is in a lot of ways, and again, it's government control, then we're going to get ourselves in a position where, we're going to get caught up in this social media paradigm, when reality is the problems that we're talking about, housing, education, economic slavery, that's real shit. Yeah, you got to have money to have internet and be on social media. I know we all do it like it's second nature, but it still needs money to maintain that. And there's a whole heap of people, again, who don't give a shit about social media because they're just trying to eat. They're just trying to educate their kids on a real-time level. So if we get too caught up in this virtual world, which again, as I said, they're controlling, they can pull the plug at any time. They can erase any one of our channels tomorrow with all of our videos and content. If we don't have that reality in our heads, then we're forever going to kind of get caught up in this fake paradigm. But the YouTubers could definitely be coming together to correlate just how many people don't want to vote and want, as I said, a vote of no confidence.
Well, I guess I'm gonna go last. But what I would say, I agree with Brother Richie in the sense that me and my wife talk about this all the time. That as YouTubers, you know what I'm saying. This is not real. You see what I'm saying? This is part of the matrix. So, but what I would say we need to do as far as social media, because like Brother Richie said, they can pull the plug. So while we have these platforms, what we should be doing is using these platforms to teach our people how to purchase and organize your communities. Period. Because once you have that, even if they pull the plug, the people know how to organize. The people know how to purchase their communities. They know how to go down to the county commissioner's office and get the tax liens, how to purchase the houses, how to fix them up, what they need to do, how to go to Home Depot to take certain classes so you can know how to fix the house up for the cheap. We have got to teach our people. In my community, we go by the slogan, practical solutions for everyday problems. And us as a people, whether it's voting, whether it's organize your community, on every front, we need to be teaching our people how to do these things to solve the everyday problems that our people have. It's a reason why J. Edgar Hoover said the Panthers food program was more dangerous than all their guns. It's a reason why he felt that, because if you feed the people and start taking care of the people's needs, they're more inclined to listen to you. The problem that we're having with social media right now is you got a bunch of Debbie Downers. If a motherfucker's not a Debbie Downer or a Donald Downer, a motherfucker is a don't actually have those solutions, and they want to be informationary. They think somehow the information is going to liberate you without putting your boots on the ground and getting on the ground and rolling up your sleeve and getting your goddamn hands dirty. You see what I'm saying? You're not going to have no social media revolution. It's not going to happen. You see what I'm saying? They'll put a plug on every goddamn channel before that happens. And so once we understand the revolution is going to have to happen in the streets, you see what I'm saying? No matter where you go on this planet, the revolution is going to happen with the people actually getting the work done on the ground. And so we have to use these platforms to teach the people how to get the work done on the ground, not just talking about stuff that really don't mean nothing. You see what I'm saying? Talking about you're Avo every damn day don't mean nothing. Talking about Kemet every day don't mean nothing. You know, if whatever your ideological concept is, if it's not translated to you getting off your goddamn ass and getting off social media and actually getting in your community and doing something, you're full of shit motherfucker anyway. Because it's not happening here. Because you know why? Because when I get off YouTube, I live in the hood. I stay in the hood. I see people hungry. I see people looking for jobs. I see people struggling. I see the struggle every day. So I see what our people need, and that's why we try to address what our people need. That is what we have got to do. Figure out ways to get it done. And if it's through voting, if it's not, but however we have got to do it, we have got to come up with a consistent strategy and consistent narratives that us, the people on social media, use and push those narratives and teach practical solutions. Okay, our people in Flint still don't got water. Why ain't nobody talking about this? Why haven't the people on social media, all the black platforms on social media, instead of talking about men versus women shit, people are fucking hungry. And it shows that the people on social media are so goddamn detached from fucking reality that they got their head up their ass talking about shit that the people on the ground don't care about. I'm gonna give an example of what I'm saying. When everybody was up in the oral about Tommy Sotomayor, you know what I'm saying? I don't have it. Well, I'm a member of a football league. We got our own football league. So we had a big old conference. So I just asked the people on the ground. I said, how many of y'all ever heard of Tommy Sotomayor? Out of 60, 70 people, only 3 or 4 motherfuckers raised their hand. The rest of the people don't give a shit about Tommy Sotomayor. But this is what black YouTube was fucking talking about. And it shows the lack of attack. It shows the detachment from the reality on the ground that the people on social media have, that they actually think the shit that they're talking about is the people give a shit. The mass of people don't give a shit about the shit we be talking about. Because none of that shit affects their everyday life. We're not giving them no tools to improve their everyday life. And that's what we should be using social media to do, to give the people the tools to affect their everyday life. We should be talking about how the brother may want to learn to be a carpenter. We need to be trying to put tools out there to say, brother, this is how you can learn to be a carpenter. Why? Because if this brother learns to be a carpenter, guess what he can do? It can translate to income so he can better take care of his family, which will give his woman the respect that he needs. And it trickles down to the whole family, and it creates the family dynamic that we need to help rebuild a community. So we have got to get back in the trenches with the people and start bringing the needs of the people to social media and teaching the people how to better their lives on an everyday basis.
I wish I had the bombs. I would have dropped the bomb. I would have dropped the bombs. Yeah, I'm 1000% agree with that. I want to swing back over to Cynthia for a minute. Cynthia.
Go
ahead. No, you want to say something?
Well, I was going to say, I think Black people's lack of understanding of how powerful media is one of our downfalls, because the reason Black people have a sense of apathy towards what's going on in their community is because they've been conditioned to, and mostly by way of the media. There is a saying, and I think Malcolm X said it: "He who has control of the media has the power." If you look throughout in history, there has not been one war that has been fought where they didn't use media as a means of helping and aiding and fighting those wars. So to discard the benefit of social media and the opportunity to use it as a war tactic it's not smart on our behalf, because the thing of it is Black people didn't get to this. The reason Black people are this condition is by 2 means: media and an education system. Media being number one. Black people are the biggest consumers of media. more so than anyone else. They are the biggest consumers of media. And it's by the media that Black people are getting all of these negative images about themselves. And that's what's dictating not only the way they see themselves, the way they see their community, and whether or not they're going to be invested in their community or the white community. This is why all over social media and all in the mainstream media, they're running an agenda in every type of show. And it's because they know you can do social programming with media. So that's what a lot of people, what we're failing to understand. But nobody goes to Facebook. So I wasn't even referring to Facebook as a use of media apparatus. Facebook isn't the most primary form of media consumption. Right now, it's YouTube. That's why Google is getting the bulk of ad revenue, because they're giving the revenue towards where people are actually going to watch content. And it's not on Facebook, it's on YouTube. So that's why I'm saying we could be using YouTube, the biggest, most popular social media apparatus where most people consume a lot of their mainstream news. It's not on Facebook, it's on YouTube. And I think even second to YouTube, I think is Twitter. So I think we really should be researching these things before we speak on them. I think if we have the opportunity and we have a media apparatus to recondition our people, we should be using it, and we should be using it effectively. But I do agree with the rest. I think the core problem is the way that we're using social media, because it would be hard to censor large groups of Black people who are speaking about the same thing. That's going to be pretty obvious. You would have to be very, very obvious to censor large groups of Black people who are trying to simply talk about real life news things. The problem with the Black community is, again, it goes to being fractured. It goes to being disunified and having separate agendas. Black people's agendas on social media isn't to really change the narrative. It's to exploit the community for profit. That's why you see a lot of these people who are simply going up there and putting out whatever information they can to get views so that they can get ad revenues. They're not even, half the time, they're not even put out even remotely accurate information. They're putting out half truth. They're manipulating it just like the mainstream media does, because they're more concerned with profit than they are with reconditioning their people. And that's what I'm saying is the problem. We're getting all of this heavy censorship, and it's usually going to the Black people who are, from what I've seen on YouTube, the people who are beefing and engaging in trivial stuff, talking about hair and makeup and doing these tutorials, they're not getting censored. The people who are getting censored are the Black people who are actually calling out white supremacy. Those are the ones who are getting their channels taken down. Those are the ones who are getting strikes. Those are the ones who are getting heavily censored. And it's because it's a very small group of people. All Black people on YouTube are not just getting exploited. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm one of the ones on YouTube who's probably had my channel snatched down more, probably gearing up to be more than anyone else, because I've had one singular channel be dismantled 3 different times. Another channel of mine got taken down 2 times. So the thing of it is it's very easy to censor small groups of people. It would be harder if we were actually cohesive. We had a unified agenda, and we were willing to come on here as a group of people with the sole purpose of switching the narrative. Then we would be very powerful, and there wouldn't be much that they could do to really stop it.
I want to ask the panel a question. With everything that we just said, right? As far as social media, because everybody got great points. Like, I want to say this. I'm in my 40s. I know AM1 is in his 40s. Richie is in his 40s. I know Cynthia is only 22.
34, but close.
Do you guys think that, because something that my brother D Red said was very important, not 1000% agreement. Are we using these social media platforms in a proper way to reach the youth? How do we reach the young people the way the Black Panthers did, the way that hip hop is reaching our people? How can we use this social media, this information, to actually reach the youth in the street to the point where they can actually hear a George Macon, hear a Cynthia, hear a D Red, an AM1, a Black Ice TV? Because when I look at social media, I feel like it's just conscious people talking to conscious people, so-called conscious people. The people that I see in the real world, man, they not watching this shit. They're not interested in this. So I feel like we're not really a big threat to the dominant society because they're like, yo, y'all not reaching the people that we reaching. They ain't paying y'all no attention. So how can we use the technology today to get it to the people? Because I feel like when we talk about strategies of war and all these things, old strategies for new technology with new people with a new mindset, they're not looking at the world through the lens the way we saw it. It's a whole different technology, a whole different everything now. So how do we use the social media sites to get the attention of the young people? Richie, you start.
Man just said it in the chat, yeah, you gotta hit the streets. That's the realness of it. We're already in a state where you can sit on the toilet, do a video about Kemet, chat shit about Trump, whatever. It's easy. But as you just said, those real life problems are on the streets. When you're looking at the mainstream media core, not only have they got the anchors sitting in the studio, they've got people on the streets. Whether or not they're creating a narrative that isn't true, fake, whatever, they're there on the streets. That's why when we, back when Sarnetta was talking about getting a news van, that was a big thing. He should have went with that because we need a black media core. I know AM1's on that. He spoke about it many times and we've heard him talk about the importance of black media core. And I'm with that because if we don't have that, and if we're not on the streets where the actual things are happening, if we're not standing alongside the local news rig when there is a shooting or when there is some issue going on at some hair salon with someone getting beaten up or something, then it is going to be a watered down effect. It is only going to turn into people sitting in their house having an opinion on something. So until we take it to that next level and we actually, again, we're not all going to be out on the streets, but we definitely need that portion of us to go on road, engage the people in real time, speak to the youth in real time, because as you said, they're not always on social media. They're not always on YouTube. They're living their experience. So if you're not there as they're living their experience to talk to them firsthand, then you are going to just be opinionated most of the time. And that's where you can get into that routine, as you said, of just speaking to your friends and people of like-minded elk to you. Yeah, but again, you're not going to get away from leaving your house and having to actually engage the people or engage those incidences as and when they happen on road.
Okay, let me bring my beloved brother in. I'm actually older than him. My beloved brother, AM1, because I know AM1, he deals with media. This is his thing. So AM1, this, I posed this question specifically for you because I knew you were coming in. So how do you think we use it to get to the people? Because they're not our age and they don't see the world the way we see it today.
Peace. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Okay, yeah, peace to Brother George, panel, the chat. Yeah, I was like, that's an interesting synchronicity. I'm actually working on a video edit right now. Client work from home. Definitely big on the media tip. Seeing everybody go nuts over this voting thing. Earlier this year, everybody go nuts over Black Panther. It's just not Black owned. I'm here in Oakland, California. Used to be a Black enclave. Really trying to push to keep it that way if I can, me personally. A lot of talk about black business, what we need, gentrification, gentrifiers, colonizers, all these catchphrase words. But niggas out here on the street, broke, struggling, hungry. A lot of niggas are doing raggedy shit, keeping themselves down. Absolutely. This goes for the men and the women. Mainstream media. We don't control our own comparable mainstream media that has all the glitz, the glamour, the lighting. We've spent a whole lifetime consuming mainstream media that has a particular look, even down to the frame rate, the frame per second, like all of these things come into play, the audio, the gaffing, like the whole presentation has been ingrained in our minds to a point where if it doesn't look a certain way, our minds just block it out and shut it off, block it out and shut it off. So it's very important that not only we are able to build these kind of media offerings, or, I mean, it's a couple of things, because even we would just here on YouTube, You can just be talking to somebody and speaking some real gems with a raggedy ass camera on your computer, like I'm using this one right now, versus my more like, you know, top notch gear type shit. It's really about the content, but at the same time, the look and imagery, the presentation of it is a big deal. So that's something that we have to consider as well. I mean, this is a multifaceted thing, but this is a super dope discussion to have this, because yes, I'm definitely big about the media. The presentation is a big issue, and then the topics, the content itself. A lot of our people do just want more drama, want to use YouTube, more drama, more grown ass adult high school shit. There's that. And using it as an echo chamber, preaching to the choir type situation. I mean, God, you just hit a couple of points, so it got me kind of all over the place. Let me try to unpack just one. The echo chamber thing. We can come here on YouTube, talk about positive, enlightening, empowering things over and over and over. But if we're all speaking to people in our age groups or even younger folks that get it, there is some benefit to that, but it needs to hit the ears of the folks that are really out there who need it the most. So we do have to take these things off of YouTube. Double-edged sword, the echo chamber situation. You get a bunch of people in there. Like I know a bunch of 6'2" light-skinned dudes from Oakland that are real bent out of shape about how they've been treated their whole lives. So I've been playing around with the idea of dedicating my whole channel to just making back-to-back videos about the plight of 6'2" light-skinned black men. Now I'm saying that as a joke, but I'm just saying that to illustrate how I could take a real dumbass sidebar issue type thing and just go over and over and over with that versus the other issues we could be talking about, and how I would ultimately be using something that could be really powerful and impactful to just rile up an echo chamber of people who are already mad and in their feelings about a particular topic, and basically not really be as constructive as I could be. Or I could use my platform to show, for all intents and purposes, a positive example of a black dude doing shit really in his community, aside from just YouTube.
Are
and
you
show
passive aggressive, AM1?
no.
It kind of sounds like you might be being a little bit.
Well, you're actually, it's kind of rude that you're cutting me off, first of all. But to answer your question, no, not at all. I'm just making the point of how there are countless YouTubers that are using this platform or not using it to the most empowering ability they could, and are using it to kind of perpetuate more negativity than constructive things they can do. And I was just illustrating how someone like myself, who's done community work, boots on the ground for years, not on YouTube. I mean, you see, I only have 600 something subs, new to the whole black YouTube thing, so to speak. But I'm able to come on here and talk about certain talking points, but then I can actually go and show you the actual community work I'm doing and have been doing, and the impacts that it's having right here in Oakland, which was a black enclave when we're dealing with gentrification and all these kind of things. I'm, you know, suffering sort of the impacts of it myself. So no, not passive aggressive at all. I'm just stating the facts that a lot of people are mistreating and misusing this tool that we have here that's not black owned, but it does level the playing field to a certain degree. And we need to be using this to be as positive at every turn versus spreading more toxin, more poison into our people. Neely Fuller said black folks shouldn't even interact with each other unless there's a goal, a plan, versus, I mean, I could come over here all day and talk about the rise of black women dating white men right here in Oakland. I see it all the time. I live across the street from a Whole Foods. I see it all damn day. Lake Merritt, Barbecue Becky shit was right on top of that. It's right around, it's literally a minute away from where I'm standing right now. I'm seeing a lot of different things going on out here, a lot of sidebar ass issues that do not get to the main issue. Mainstream media, non-black owned media is one of the biggest issues. It's an indoctrination system. It's mind control. Anybody who really understands that knows exactly what I'm talking about and how important this is. We need to be focusing on utilizing this thing as the tool it can be, because it's one of the most dangerous weapons, but it's also one of the most beautiful things we can be using to spread art, creativity, true culture, true intelligence. I'm being long-winded. Go ahead, George.
Like, no, I'm laughing at too hard.
George, can I say something really fast? I'm not gonna.
I'm coming to you, Cynthia. And be
I'm not gonna stir the pot. I promise I'm not going to.
be nice. Nope. Be nice. Come on, be nice. I'm coming. No, I'm laughing at Tarek Beto. Come on, Cynthia. Come on, bring it.
Okay, I'm just gonna say I really do feel like he's being a little bit passive aggressive, and the reason I feel like he's been passive aggressive is because he's been in the chat room numerous times on different panels that I've been on, and he's made these comments about people focusing on topics that are unproductive when they could be doing more constructive things. And usually those topics, he usually says that when I'm in there talking about how Black men are contributing to Black genocide with their rate of interracial dating. So that's why I say I feel like it's being passive aggressive a little bit. And it is what it is. Sometimes we throw out low key shade and we think that people don't catch it. But I'm just saying I see it. But I'll be nice.
Yeah, no, and I understand that you feel that way. And my answer to that would be, don't make it all about you. Dial back the narcissism and get out of your feelings about how you feel and focus on the true impact of what I'm saying. Because that's how we'll actually get somewhere. A lot of what's going on here on YouTube is people getting in their feelings, talking about how they feel about a particular issue without using the true faculties and intelligence to look at it from a broader standpoint and understand the broader impacts versus me. We're living in me social media world right now. Everybody wants to have it their way and what's important to them and prioritize that before what's really needed for our people. That's very dangerous.
You have a lot to say on panels that I'm on, though. So it's not about me being narcissistic. It's about you repeatedly giving me quite a bit of attention based on what I say. You seem to be getting real triggered in every single conversation that I'm involved in where I bring up interracial dating. And I noticed that. And that's why you put that whole comment about you can sit up here and talk about the rise of interracial dating between Black women and white men in Oakland, because these are the same narratives that you've engaged in. So don't act like it's just me coming out of nowhere. You know what you've been doing. And you know, every time I've been on a panel and I've mentioned it, you tune everything out. And then the minute I get to talking about interracial dating, you start talking about unproductive conversations. So don't play like you don't know why I'm saying these things.
No, I know exactly why you're saying what you're saying, but what I'm trying to illustrate to you is this. What I'm saying is much bigger than you, and it's bigger than myself as well. Now, I understand you've been doing this YouTube thing for years. I understand you've been doing this YouTube thing for years, and I understand the following you have, and I understand that what that could have done to your whole ego about this thing.
But you do it to my ego when you get in the chat rooms and you only focus on what I'm saying. You do that because I'll be on a panel with 8 different people and you somehow hone in to what I'm saying because you don't like the fact that I call out interracial dating. So I'm not making it about me. You're making it about me. If I wanted it to be about me, I would get on a panel by myself, not with 8 different people. You make it about me when you hone in only on what I say.
No, it's not about you. It's about the topic, the subject matter, or lack of importance of that subject matter or topic versus more important and broader reaching and more impactful things we could be talking about. The same holds true for any YouTuber, not just you. Hence why I'm saying it's not just about you. So dial back your ego and your narcissism, and maybe we can use this thing to actually get somewhere versus talking about sidebar issues over and over and over.
Well, you think it's about you because you think you get to determine what's meaningful content. You think you get to determine for people what's a sidebar issue versus what's a primary issue. You're doing that, not me, because you think you control a chat room and tell people what they need to focus on or what would be productive. So how is that my ego when I sit up on panels and talk about a number of different topics, and then you choose to come in there and tell 8 different people what they can talk about and what they should be focusing on. So you're the one with the ego problem, regardless of how big your channel is. You're the one with the ego problem because you're doing it again. You're sitting up here with 4 different people trying to tell them and determine for them what's a sidebar conversation, what's constructive versus what's counterproductive. So you should probably be checking your ego at the door. And if you had done that, then you wouldn't even get offended by what I talk about. You simply just wouldn't care because you would know it's not about how you feel. If I choose to talk about our community being bred out by way of interracial dating. I'm sorry if I think the genetic annihilation of our community is a big.
Hold on.
Gunshots.
But yeah, let's stop. Let's stop. Because both see, this is the thing.
This is the thing.
Yeah, both of you guys are strong-willed personalities. Both of y'all got great information. But this, and I'm going to go on for a minute because this goes into the conversation that we're having. Like we got a lot of these are conscious people. Cynthia is not out hitting black people upside the head and robbing them. Neither is AM1. These are people that's living productive lives, and we all, at the end of the day, we all want better for our people. But the thing is, we as a group, man, like we don't know how to get along. And we play this stuff out on social media. It plays out. So it laid into my questions that I asked, and then it played right out. We all grown-ups. Like, at what point do somebody just say, you know what, I'm gonna back down for a minute. I'm just gonna, you know what, I'm gonna let you win. I'm not gonna say it. We'll go on for a whole hour because we haven't got to the point. We haven't got to the point as a people, man, where we looking at like, listen, everything that we just talked about, when do we begin to exercise it? Like we actually on social media with 125 people watching. And with everything that we talk about, as soon as we get triggered, there you go. And this is the thing that I'm trying to eradicate amongst us conscious people, because I fucks with both of y'all. Both of y'all my people. But I understand how we deal with each other at times. And we got to get past this part because we never know who's watching. You know, we never know who's watching. There could be somebody watching right now that could have been like, damn, there's some conscious people. They talking some real shit. And then as soon as they hear that, oh, man, them niggas just like me. They fucked up. I ain't listening to that shit no more. And then we lose people. So we got to recognize like what we doing and where we at, man. Like, you know, we're not going to always agree on everything. You know, Cynthia has a lot of polarizing stuff. You know what I mean? You know, but Cynthia is Cynthia. She said a lot of good stuff. You know, AM1 has his points. And like I said, we all not going to agree, but we got to understand like we out here on media and the world is watching. But I don't think that we understand this at times.
Well, George, this isn't me just trying to be petty. You can actually ask Pookie and Ray this in the comments section, and you can actually ask Nyla as well. I've been on multiple of Nyla's panels. I've been on O'Shea's panels. And whenever I get into a discussion about interracial dating, it's always AM1 who have to come into the chat room talking about how unproductive the conversation is. Now, mind you, in these conversations, we're talking about a wide array of things. So we discuss various different topics as always. But whenever we get on interracial dating, AM1 has to insert himself in there and start throwing little shots, talking about, oh, it's unproductive. Why don't you guys talk about something else? Why are you talking about who people choose to be with? So he gets very triggered. And then he starts talking about what's productive and what's not productive. It's like, you don't have to comment. That's the thing. If we're talking about a number of different topics, why are you in every discussion, whether it's on O'Shea's channel, Nyla's channel, anybody's channel, if I'm on there talking about interracial dating, he always gets triggered. And he always goes with multiple different comments talking about how unproductive it is, how counterproductive it is, and how we should focus on something else. It's like, that makes no sense to me.
Hold on.
If I can address that.
Hold on for a second, AM1. Now, let's just do this. I get it. But if that's his personality, that's his. Like, you know, and you have yours. So what I'm saying is, we're going to go back and forth all day just addressing it because both of y'all are strong-willed person. And let's just leave it alone and let's stay on topic. You know, AM1 does what he does. Cynthia does what she do. Sometimes when we come together, you know, it explodes at times. But at what point do we just say, you know what? All right, you got that one. And we just leave it alone because we're going to stay on. Like I watched it. It started at, it's 7 minutes now. It started at 1:38. It's 1:45 now on East Coast time. We've been stuck on this for 8 minutes. Let's just stay on. Let's get back on topic because we had a good build. It was a good, powerful build. And let's just go on. AM1 gave his opinion. You know, Cynthia, you was up next on your opinion, but let's just get off of that because there's nothing positive going to come out of it. And we all know it, but we're going to keep it going. Like, we're not for it. Let's just move on from it. You know what I mean? You know, go ahead, Richie.
The thing I'm listening, when I'm listening to this conversation back and forth, yeah, and if I'm listening to what Cynthia's saying about, you know, his position, and I've heard some of his comments on interracial dating or whatever, But this goes back to talking about voting now and what we vote for. This goes back down to personal politics and culture. Yeah, and again, if this is an issue where when I'm saying and Synth is saying that we gotta abstain from voting because it's not for us, it's not doing nothing for us, it's not addressing us as black people. Again, if you're a black person, I'm not attacking you, AM1. Like, I'm just using you to make a point and bring us back to this voting situation. If you do believe in interracial dating and you're cool with that intermingling situation, yeah, then a lot of the politics that's out there and policies that are being proposed will be more applicable to you, and you'll be more likely to continue on voting with the same rubbish system that's presented to you, rather than if you are pro-black, then your tolerance for seeing that the policies that are presented to you by Democrats, Republicans, whatever, you will see that they're less beneficial to you in an all-black paradigm. So I'm just putting this out there that this is why it's important to know people's personal stances. So again, we can clarify why people are saying we should be voting as opposed to why someone's saying we should abstain.
Yeah, I just see it took us. I had some good questions, man. I don't forgot my questions and everything. Yeah.
Oh man.
No, but because I got my man Tahar Bay in the chat. I know he a
I
more.
know. Big
Yeah,
up Tahak.
yeah, Tahar is a more. I wanted to get the Moore's perspective on whether we should going forward, whether we should be voting or what plan of action should we be taking going forward 2018 now with all the things going in. What should be our next outlook for 2020? It's 2018 now. What should we be preparing for? Which direction should we be going in? So I asked D Red and I come back with Cynthia. D Red, what should be our outlook now? Which direction should we be going in as far as if we're voting or if we're not voting? Your stance is we shouldn't be voting. So what should we be doing right now to prepare going forward?
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What I would say is, man, first we gotta. I said it. I'm gonna keep saying the same thing. First, we need to. If you're talking about people on YouTube or whatever, social media people, I would say folks gotta get out their butt. You see what I'm saying? I mean, we got to get off our butt, and if we want to actually affect the change that we want, instead of just preaching to the choir, we gonna have to get out there, find out what's a relevant topic to the people, the everyday person that's just on YouTube looking at music videos. What's a relevant topic to the people that's on YouTube that's just looking up how to put a muffler on a car? You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people only use this social media for certain things. You see what I'm saying? To look up this or to look up that. And so we have got to use maximize the presence on social media by making ourselves visible outside of social media to the layperson. You see what I'm saying? What's wrong with going to the hood in your city and sitting down chopping it up with the people and finding out, hey, uh, I'm just making up something. There's a housing crisis in my city. Instead of saying to start addressing some stuff that's going on in your community, and then and then start sharing that on your Facebook or whatever other stuff that means that you're using. Even if you're just sharing it with the people in your phone book, your contacts in your phone. Start sharing it, and so people can start seeing that you care about them, because we say we care about them, but we deal with these big issues that the average person, they're too big for them to fathom because they got everyday life that they're dealing with. Like when I tell this story all the time, I was listening to a Garfield. It was Garfield and Zion Lex or something. And one of my kids, D Dot, he was like, "Coach, what you listening to?" So I let him hear it. He listened about 5 minutes. He said, "Man, them niggas talk about make believe. I'm dealing with real life." And you know why he felt like he was dealing with real life? Because his goddamn lights was off. So it's hard for a kid or a grown up, anybody, to try to grasp what we're saying when we're talking about racism, white supremacy, and this, that, and the third. When his sister working 2 jobs, or when this brother can't find a job, it's hard for them to even care about what we're talking about because they're dealing with stuff. They're dealing with everyday issues. They have everyday problems, and so the stuff that we're saying be like, yeah, I hear you, nigga, but I gotta feed these kids. Yeah, I hear you, nigga, but shit, I just lost my job. Yeah, I hear you, nigga, but that's how they feel. It was A-Ball had a line. He said it's a nigga with some dreads flowing from his head, trying to tell me about some shit that Farrakhan said. A-Ball, listen, because I'm not the one to knock it, but I can't hear it because of the echoes in my empty pocket. That's how people feel, bro. When a person ain't got nothing, they not trying to hear all this old history shit. They not hear all this social shit. They can hear that when they eating. And so again, we just gotta do a better job, man. Putting out boots on the ground, lacing our boots, rolling our sleeves up, and dealing with our people, man, and showing them we care, showing them that we actually love them, showing them that we are here for them, showing that we're trying to address their issues. You see what I'm saying? Because if we start addressing their issues, then we can teach them about what racism, white supremacy is, and how it covers all 9 activities of human existence. We can teach them that because now once we start feeding them, then they're gonna be more inclined to listen. So I think that that's what we need to focus on moving forward. Getting in the trenches, teaching these people, using these social media platforms to teach our people how to purchase and organize our communities because everything starts there. Dealing with the needs of the people and purchasing communities and organizing those people. That's the basic, that's the foundation. Again, if you look at the Asian community, that's what they did. They purchase and organize their communities. If you look at every other community, that's what they do. We're the only community that don't purchase and organize our community. We're the only people that think that you don't see Asians on social media talking about no revolution because they don't have to because they do it behind closed doors. We're the only group. You don't see Jews talking about, oh, we're gonna make sure Bensonhurst is this. They don't have to do that because they do it behind closed doors. We're the only people that think that social media is gonna be some kind of way the end all be all to our revolution, and it's not. You see what I'm saying? We need to be showcasing people who actually got their boots on the ground and doing things, and so they use those people to help teach people in the various communities how to do it. You see what I'm saying? And again, we just misusing it, man. I ain't gonna be talking too long, man. But that's how I feel.
I got Taharka Bay coming. Cynthia, I'm gonna go to you real quick, and then I'm gonna swing over to Taharka. I want to get Cynthia, what you think as far as going forward? What as from a woman's perspective? How would you address the black women and the community? Period. As to how we should be moving going forward from right now going forward.
I think that we should be focused on trying to repair the rift in our community so we can be organized. Because and I'm sorry I forgot your name for the gentleman that last spoke. I do agree that if we can be organized, which clearly we're not right now, where voting or anything else isn't going to work for us because you're just going to have Black people voting for two separate agendas. And we need one agenda, which is going to be the empowerment of the Black community. And so I think what women can do is that we should be more focused on, resolving things with our men at this point. We really should. I think we should be separating ourselves from anyone on social media or in our lives in general who don't want unity, who don't want cohesiveness, because really that's the only way that we are going to survive. And I think as a collective, Black people need to start being more selfish and less inclusive, because the reality of it is other groups of people are not concerned with how our community is going. So they're not all over public platforms and social media saying, but what about the Asians and the Indians and the Hispanics? They worry about what's going on with the Asian community. They couldn't care less about what you're doing over there as a Hispanic or as a Black person beyond how much you're going to put your money into their businesses. But, you know, if we don't get real selfish real fast and unify, it's not going to matter what we do. We're not going to accomplish anything. We're going to continue to be subjugated.
Okay, I got
I actually don't live in Seattle. See, this is how foolish people are. They just listen to rumors. I actually don't live in Seattle. So
don't watch the checks. Don't watch the checks, and you know that. Don't watch the check. Don't pay that no mind. That could be anybody. I got my big bro. You know, we was ready to move. We was ready to move on cast at the signing of the TV awards. I got my big bro. Unmute yourself, talking. Unmute yourself so you come on in. Yeah, hold on. Let me unmute you. I think your mic is muted.
Peace and love, family. How y'all doing?
What's going on? Yeah, we can hear you now. Hey, I want to ask you from a Moorish perspective.
What it do to Harger?
What's up, D Red? Cynthia G, AM1, Black Ice. What's up?
Don't
George?
Hey,
Got a big swole up picture on that, George. Don't try to get thrilled. I just want to express my opinion, all right?
I don't want to. Hey, when we was up in New York, I wasn't gonna let nobody move on you, right?
That's right. We move as one, and that's how we got to move politically. But what was your question, brother?
As far as voting, you know, my title, I titled it, you can be pro-Black and vote, but it's mixed opinion. Some of us believe we shouldn't. Some of us believe that we should. I tend to go with the general consensus of what our people would go with. So, as from a Morris perspective, do you believe that we should be voting? If should, how should we be voting?
1,000%. Matter of fact, yesterday I went and cast my vote. This is the point. From a Moorish perspective, we believe in the block vote. The block vote is a vote that's consistent with a consensus, meaning that the community move as one. For example, in any place in America, as Cynthia G pointed out, that the Asians are not thinking about us, they're moving. The Italians are not thinking about us, they're moving. Well, the way that they're moving as a block, meaning that they have a representative and everybody get behind the representative that has pinpointed the issues that will affect them in the most effective way to bring them to the level of economic empowerment, open doors for social endeavors, education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so we as a group of people, whether we call ourselves Black, Hebrew, Moor, or whatever we call ourselves, in every community, what I'm organizing on, matter of fact, I could show you the video that I did yesterday. What I'm organizing on is a local block vote. A local block vote is consistent with regular everyday people, as my brother D Red say, they're struggling with trying to eat. They're struggling with the lights. They're struggling with all the cares of the world. So there's going to take one of us to step forward and educate ourselves on the issues, bring it to the people and let the people trust you and get behind you. And then you bring the people to the poll to vote on the issue and to vote on the politician or a politician that you will pick among yourself. Because these politicians are not that educated. We already know that. But if you get 3,000 people behind any politician or behind somebody amongst yourself, you can educate yourself on politics. Now, that person has to be loyal. Now, if that person is not loyal, that's already a politician, or the one that you put in, most likely he'll be loyal if you get him from the grassroots. Then what'll happen is the thing will start shifting. What we do is we go with this Eurocentric way of voting. When we say, you need to vote. You need to vote. No, we don't need to vote. We need to vote, we need to have an educated vote, and we need to vote as a block. We need to stop coming out the voters booth and somebody say, I can't tell you who I vote for, or we in line saying, who do you vote for? I'm not going to tell you. No, we need to communicate with one another. I'm voting for this one, and this is why. I went to vote yesterday, George, and on this ballot was some issues, and I'm very much in the know. There was some issues that I needed to be educated on. So I know somebody on the corner rolling up some Black and Miles. They don't have a clue. So it's going to take one of us to be the leader in our community, boots on the ground. Yes, I have a YouTube channel, but I got 30 minutes right now, and I'm going boots on the ground. We need a leader in each community. We do it by the way of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Temple, organizing throughout the country. You see what I'm saying? And so at every temple will be the place or a ground zero to organize the people. But one thing about the Moors that's underneath the temples, and which is governed under the name, the Noble Temples, Moorish Science Temple of America, we don't get into all that. You need to put on affairs. Stop calling yourself Black. We don't get into all that. We look at the issues and we move as one. Our program is called the Alliance for Political Accountability, where we let the person know when you buy some liquor, when you buy some Pampers, when you buy blunts, you are buying into a system, and you're buying into a system with people where people will be managing your money. They are managing your tax dollars. And in order for you to get in with the managing of the tax dollars, your voice has to be heard, and it got to be heard as a collective. So no more go vote. No, come with me. We're voting this way. We are voting this way. You feel me? And so that's the Moorish American way. And now that way has been lost for quite some time. I'm trying to bring it back. Matter of fact, I'm bringing it back. And in 2020, we're going to affect change. Wherever there's a Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Temple, we are going to affect change. And like I said, this is not all about one who proclaimed to be a Moorish American. This is about anybody who thinks that conditions can be better. Because if a Moorish American can put somebody in the lead to affect change, or if we can bring people together to influence change, then that's what we got to do. Period, point blank.
I tend to take that stance. I agree with that stance on the way you laid it out. My brother Richie, he disagrees. He has a different stance, and I think that behind, now we on YouTube, but I think that we got to get more think tanks behind closed doors as Black people to figure out which way we're going to go. Because I understand my brother D Red, Richie's stance, and I respect it. And then I have my stance. But I think that as Black people, we're going to have to come to a general consensus, like you said, on what we're doing, which way we're going to go, and how we're going to do it. I got like 15 minutes left before I have to pick up my boy. I want to come back to AM1. AM1, what you just heard my big bro lay out. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, no, I was saying that voting, moving as a block, I totally agree with all of that. As far as I can tell, my understanding of politics is really about distribution of wealth and resources. And for the most part, since slavery, our people have been blocked from wealth and resources. So there's that. Then the idea of moving as a block, from a militaristic standpoint, we need communication lines to do so. Again, it circles right back to media. Mainstream media, for the most part, our people are tapped into non-Black owned mainstream media who's telling us everything but what we need to really arm ourselves to even compete. It's all bad. So again, we need to unplug from their media, really get on utilizing these kind of systems like YouTube to focus on the real issues. We need to be able to have these kind of discussions like we're doing right now, outline what are the real issues. See, even before we can start talking about a voting block, we got to figure out what we all agree on. I talk about wealth, resources, just in these broad swoop sort of terms that can be broken down in a lot of different ways, but at least consensus reality type stuff that we all know we got to deal with, food, clothing, shelter on that level, media resources, jobs, like education on that level. I think we all can agree we need that versus other more personal type wants and desires. That's kind of why I went in that direction and why I even make my channel go in that direction. Unfortunately, Black folks being kept in a state of poverty are more susceptible to entertainment. That's exactly why the non-Black owned mainstream media keeps us pinned down, because we want to be placated, pacified, distracted with cool shit, fun shit, drama, drama, drama. We got to be able to unplug from that so we can even get our heads in the game to even be thinking about what we need to all move on, moving as a block, gaining resources, then going to some polls. Because if we don't have the wealth and resources, we can try to vote all we want, but it's not really going to matter if we're not leveraging it with the financial means behind it. Even I've sat in meetings with these people with their campaigns and whatnot right here in Oakland, and the money that goes into it. If you don't have that, you're asked out. I've watched these people running right now against Libby Schaff. Nobody even really came close to her votes the last I checked. And she has the money, she has the resources, she's backed by these developers. They're talking about gentrification. So I'm sitting back and watching a lot of this stuff and seeing, yeah, I see the game that they're running on us. They're saying go vote. They're saying go do all these things. Act like you have a voice. Act like there's some real impact. I've never seen any real impacts on city, state, or federal level that's really impacted Black folks. I've seen a lot of things that are just kind of playing lip service and being a distraction. But for the most part, I mean, I'm seeing people even right now post memes talking about Obama, I want you back. I'm like, well, what did Obama do for Black folks? Like, I saw a homegirl of mine. She wants the Dems to get it. She wants the Dems to get it. I'm like, well, hold on. Tell me the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. Like, you really break this down to me. So it's a lot of follower mentality. It's a lot of sheep herd mentality. But I'm like, are you about yourself getting resources on a day-to-day level? What kind of media are you tapped into? Are you really peeping game on what this really even means, especially for Black Americans? Like, if you want to talk descendants of slaves being held back from resources, I mean, there's people with real wealth, power, and influence that are putting their wealth towards who they want to be elected. You know what I mean? Like, we're not in a position to do that. So a lot of people don't understand how the game works. And it's sad. It's almost laughable, but it's like, come on, people, we got to figure this stuff out. But it all starts back with, what are we doing to coordinate to even be able to move as a block? The media is a big deal. That's why I always circle back to that. I study this stuff. That's what I do for a living. Freelance work, using it to build in the community for real. We, unfortunately, we got to tap in and bring the politics, the organization level. We got to make it fun to reel in a lot of Black folks that just want the fun, to turn up the party, the drama. Bridge the gap between the media, politics, wealth. It's a tricky game. I'm trying to do it myself, building, with the urban media content, the brand type work I do. I have my whole own other client design type business. So I'm sitting in some real interesting meetings, soaking up a lot of game stuff that I'm trying to really bring back and filter that in with my people. But I'm being confronted with way more sidebar issue type shit, people really being ready to focus. Hence why I will bring up these kind of things on my channel or in certain chat rooms. That's kind of where it is. I really do care about my people. I love, love, love Black women, first and foremost. My mom, beautiful Black woman, amazing, angel on earth. I care about my people. I really want to see us win. As I'm learning, leveling up myself, soaking up game from these different environments I'm able to put myself in, I'm trying to bring that back to my folks to help us all level up. And at certain points, it's like we're on a losing team, man. We're distracted with a lot of extra ass bullshit that we really need to figure out. I'll leave it at that.
I got like 12 more minutes, so I'll ask this question. Let's just try to be short-winded so we can go through. I'll start with Cynthia real quick, and this is my last question. With everything that we said today, and then my brother Taharka laid it out, Richie laid out his point, D Red laid out his point. Cynthia laid out her point. Just real quick, let's just all try to go 2 minutes because I gotta go get my son. With everything that we said, do you guys think that we will be better off with a black leader that will be able to galvanize the people and bring the people together as instead of being individuals? Because this individualistic practice that we've been practicing, it's gotten us nowhere. What are you guys' opinion on us having black leadership, like a black leader that's able to galvanize the people? What's your opinion on that, Cynthia? You there, Cynthia? Might have stepped away for a minute. I go to Richie. Richie, what's your opinion on that?
Boy, we need Black leadership. It's a natural thing that's going to happen. someone's going to have to take the reins to lead in certain areas. People have to play every position, from the Pookie and Ray Rays all the way up to the leadership. But again, that's another conversation where we got to talk about the accountability that we put on black leadership. What do we expect from them? As we said, it's one thing to have a candidate or a leader, but are they clear on what the people want to happen, need, have to happen? This is all it comes down to. So as long as Tahaka laid out, that leader comes from the grassroots, comes from the people, by the people, for the people. As long as that process is adhered to, then we most definitely need a black leadership. But again, we have to have accountability on a high level, and that's something we haven't had for a long time.
Okay.
As soon as leaders get into play, as soon as they go to that next level, suddenly, you've got a whole section of people that are dazed to it, and then you've got a whole section of people, that are with the corruption and all the manipulations and whatever. And as far as voting goes and politicians goes, you show me one that has stuck to what they've promised to happen before that.
You're right. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's keep it to 2 minutes so I can get everybody before I get out of here. I'm gonna go over to D Red before I come back to Harper. You there, D Red?
What was the question again?
Do you think, with everything that we talked about, and you look at the black community today, do you think that we would be better off under a black leader?
No. I think that at this particular point, history has shown us that when you study the Diggers for Defense, they was trying to kill Marcus. You see what I'm saying? Because they felt like if you kill the leader, you kill the movement. We saw what happened to the UNIA once he got deported and he got in prison. We saw what happened to the Panthers. We saw what happened to the Lowndes County political organization. Like we got too much history to show that once they took out the leadership, the movements died. You see what I'm saying? So what we have got to do is set up a more of a council type situation where there is no one leader. You see what I'm saying? There is no one person. You see what I'm saying? And that we have got to always be, as we create a Farrakhan type figure, because there's always somebody that emerges that knows how to tap into the hearts and minds of the people. There's always usually one person that knows how to do that, and that's fine. That there's more of a voice, that's fine. But we have got to set up something to where if he falls, if Farrakhan falls, there's Farrakhan 2 in the wings. You know what I'm saying? To keep the movement going, we have got to create some kind of system that as that figurehead, because we can have a figurehead, but we don't need a leader. See, it's different between somebody that's a national spokesperson, you see what I'm saying, for the movement, as opposed to somebody being a leader. You see what I'm saying? And so we have got to create some kind of system to where we're breeding leaders and not having a leader. And because I don't think that having one leader is historically based upon history. I don't think that's. I think that would be flawed.
All right, cool. All right, let me do because I'm gonna come to Harker last so we can end it out. Real quick, AM1, give me 2 minutes on whether we need a leader or not. Just
again, D-Red just dropped gems on that, and I totally agree. The whole historically, we've seen the leadership thing fail. I mean, if you really study more into some of these supposed leaders we've had, they've had ties to certain brotherhoods and organizations that, at best, appears that some of them may have been compromised. The way the social media and everything is now, it's training everybody to be on more of a follower herd mentality, even more so. We need more independent thinking, more critical thought. Everybody needs to be their own leader. But of course, that would take accountability and make everybody have to man up or woman up and not be so focused on themselves and really thinking with a community type mindset, meaning you can't just work your 40-hour-a-week job, do your commute, come home, and just tap in with social media and just zone out, or just, want to turn up, have fun, decompress on the weekends. You're actually going to have to sacrifice and grind out, read, educate yourself, find out what's really going on. so you can use critical thinking to be your own leader, as opposed to the herd mentality. Like a lot of folks jump on YouTube. This is their source of entertainment. That's great. That's better than non-Black owned mainstream media. But if you're going to come on this thing and turn it into high school all over again, where you just want to latch on to certain people, follow their words blindly without really peeping game on what they're saying, that's a dangerous game. Same with any politician. Obama, so many people jumped on him just because he's Black and speaks well. All bad. If it's that easy to put some bait in front of our people and have us, carrot on a stick, that's very dangerous. We have to unplug from all that, use our own personal empowerment and critical thinking to really be able to sort out where we need to go. And it'll all circle back to resources, wealth, media. There it is.
Okay. Taraka, real quick, unmute yourself, Taraka. Yeah, real quick before you get Janice Lewis, she said, why is it that the president have to sign every 25 years for us to have a right to vote? Is that still in the play for Black folks? And then the other question, do we need a Black leader?
Okay, real quick. The president does sign that in. I think it is every 25 years. I can't be for certain, but the Moors of the Moorish Science Temple of America has been voting since the 1920s. I can prove it on the record. And this is before anything was ever signed. Yes, they do still do that, but that doesn't affect you for real. That's a whole nother conversation. However, I think it's crazy at best to believe that we don't need a leader. The leader is only the representative of the collective. Now we need to get back to the real and the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is that there is no country in this world that don't have a leader that represents, whether they misrepresent or not. The problem is if we do not hold our leaders accountable. So at the Million Man March, all of those promises that was made that wasn't met, somebody should have been held accountable. It's not the leader per se. The leader will only do what the public allow or the followers allow them to do. So of course we need a leader. Why? Because the leader is the spokesperson of the collective. Now, that leader can be incompetent, or we can force that leader to be competent. It becomes the collective that's the issue. The LBG community, they have a leader. Their first leader of the LBG community, I think his name was Millers or something like that, something weird like that. But he led the charge. They got representation right now. The leader of the Mexican community, whether it was every local district, every state, and I'll close with this. They end up getting Sotomayor on the Supreme Court. We need leaders, but we need to hold the leaders accountable. Who held Barack Obama accountable for his shortcomings in our community? Nobody. We need leaders, but we need to hold them accountable. Because I agree with AM1. I agree 1,000%. Obama didn't do not much for us as a people. And we need somebody to hold him accountable for that. Instead of being dewy-eyed every time he says some $20,000 words with $2 meaning. But with that, I said, peace, family. I wish I would have came earlier. You know I get pumped up, George.
Yeah. I just want to thank everybody on the panel, man, for coming in. This was a good bill. We got to have more bills like this. Talk. I got to get you in more, man. I want to change the way we interact with each other on YouTube. I want to be if I could be responsible for causing destruction and mayhem on the streets of Philadelphia for years, then I can help be responsible for changing the consciousness on the street and on YouTube. Put that on me. Let me be at the forefront of that. And I need more positive brothers and sisters. We need to have more panels like this, having these important discussions, so that way we can take it off of YouTube and further the conversations. These conversations are very, very important. Like I said, man, with all the debauchery and shit that we see on YouTube every day, we got to counter that. We have to counter it. So remember, I love my people more than they hate themselves, and I pray to the universal creator, Most High, that these words was enough to inspire you. This information was enough to make you look at yourself in the mirror and make change. This information was enough to make you look at your children and know you have to make change. I hope that the people on this panel and this information was enough to make you start asking questions that you normally wouldn't ask, and make you turn the channel, turn channel 0 off, turn the TV off, pick up a book, go down to your library, hit Google and just look up certain things that you normally wouldn't do, and begin to empower yourself, educate yourself on local governments and leadership and your role to the family as a man, your role to the family as a woman. I just hope that this information, that when you come on to George Macon's channel, that you leave edified, you leave with something that can take you into and better your life going forward. So I remember, I love y'all. To the next time, peace. Taharka, I gotta get with you, bro.
That's what's up, brother. Peace and love.
Peace, peace.